The grid is formed in readiness for the qualifying race for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. It is the penultimate race of today, and the results of this race will determine the grid for the longer Grand Prix tomorrow, because this first race is 8 laps, tomorrow's is 12. The man on pole position you could look at a moment ago is Andy Chang, and with him at the front of the grid is Gerard Shea, who has been the man to beat in the Formula 4 Chinese Championship this year, and this third on the grid, the man that won last year, the man that won in 2020, Charles Leung, looking to put himself in the history books as the first triple winner of the Macau Grand Prix. David Anderson and Alan Hyde ready to guide you through the action. The grandstands filling up around the circuit as we get set for the identical Miguel M14 F4 chassis with Geely engines, with Kumho tires to be released onto the formation lap. Li Cheng lining up 4th on the grid, and he was the driver who finished 3rd last year. It's the first time that Gerard Shea, who is 2nd on the grid, has raced at this circuit, but you wouldn't have thought it the way that he attacked qualifying yesterday. There you've got Royce Yu, who lines up 5th on the grid, and starting 6th. Number 56 is Qing Jie Fang, 4th in the Grand Prix last year.
Grand Prix to look forward to tomorrow. Today it is an 8-lap race for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. It used to be known as the qualification race on a Saturday. It's a moment of great excitement because this is what the whole week, 2 weeks in fact, leads up to the Grand Prix tomorrow. It will be over 12 laps, the final track action of the weekend. Today's race has a kind of a view into some of the glamour that you'll see tomorrow in the build-up to the Grand Prix. We'll have the lion dance, the traditional good luck lion dance before the race. And we're looking at number 14, being the car of Li Qinghin. All identical cars, these. Miguel chassis, Henry Lee Jr., a little wave for the camera. Good amount of experience around Macau.
And a rebuilt car, because he had quite a big off in Q2 yesterday, didn't he, coming out of Mandarin?
They've been working hard, haven't they, the teams overnight. A little portable hand fan to try and get as much cool air around the face and head as can possibly be got in. It's 27 degrees, a bit cloudy today, a bit more cloudy than yesterday.
That's another repaired car, because yesterday Ken Wong was in the wall, so that car has been repaired, rebuilt, ready to go, and it will start 11th on the grid here. So drivers strapped in nice and tight, words of encouragement from friends and family alongside. There you've got Lin Li Feng, who is going to go from 12th on the grid, only 14th in the Grand Prix last year, and a driver that splits his time largely between Chinese touring cars and China GT, but steps to single-seaters again for this weekend.
It's quite interesting because for the last 2 years and now this year as well, it's been for Formula 4 cars and not Formula 3 cars, and it's pretty noticeable that drivers are more relaxed ahead of the Formula 4 race. Look at that, how relaxed do you want to be? Out of the car, not yet with the overalls pulled up and without the balaclava and helmet on. Now is the time to do that, but certainly when you've got the young Formula 3 drivers, at this point they are in the cockpit, they are ready to go, they are focused, they're in the zone. Very little of the waving to cameras and the distraction from the build-up to the start of the race.
That's Lam Kan San's car that is good to go. So that car, which is number 22, lining up on the 14th rank on the grid. 1-by-1 staggered grid, standing start of course for the Grand Prix. Grid now being cleared, engines will fire, and then the Formula 4 field will be released. A one-make category by regulation, the China F4 Championship, of which these 2 races score points, and 1 car missing on the grid, just trying to work out whose it is. We'll come to that in a second, just to confirm the way they line up then. So you've got Andy Chang on pole position, Gerard Shea alongside. Then it is Charles Leung and Li Cheng on the second row of the grid. Royce Yu will start 5th ahead of Xingjie Fang, then Lu Jingji and Chen Chi Hu. On the 5th row, there is Li Qingxin and Henry Lee Jr. ahead of then Wang Yuming and Lin Li Fang. Charles Tsang is on the 7th row with Lam Kam Sam for company, and the grid is to be completed by Wei Chao.
And the point about distractions in the build-up today is nothing compared to tomorrow. It is you can't even see the cars in the build-up to the Grand Prix because so many items of distraction for the drivers ahead of the race. And now, when the personnel have been cleared from the grid, is when they can begin to focus on what lies ahead. Single-seater cars around the gear circuit, the challenges of Macau. Something to focus the attention now.
So the grid is starting to be cleared. We've got 3 minutes to go to the start of the formation lap, and then the cars will be released, ready to get some warmth into the tyres, ready to go racing. Only 8 laps, so a relatively short race for them. But the good thing is that these cars have stepped up to the plate, haven't they, to be able to go for the Macau Grand Prix tag. The one that's missing is Chen Chi Ho, I'm afraid, the touring car racer of seasons past. Not quite sure why. I don't remember that car having problems yesterday, but clearly something has struck to keep it out of this first race, effectively the qualifying race, because this determines the grid for the Grand Prix tomorrow.
Now, in the previous race, we had a number of issues down at Lisboa, and I'm indebted to Neil for telling us information that there was some oil down, some fluid down at Lisboa, which earlier on in the touring car race, the gear race, was the cause of many of the problems, and that will have been addressed for sure by the marshals. Had a few issues with oil on the circuit being addressed today at Macau, but we are ready to race. Now the circuit will be in good condition to get this race underway in the 27-degree heat of Macau. Final few moments with just one member of the team for each of the cars. The member of the team directly involved in making sure that the car starts and gets off on the formation lap. But after all the glamour and the build-up to the first race for the weekend for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, now it's just going to be car and driver left on the grid. Last few photographers and television crews make their way off the grid. And this is what it's all about. Single-seaters at Macau, about to get underway for an 8-lap race on Saturday here at Macau, just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. 4 minutes past 2 to be precise. 27 degrees, slightly cloudy conditions, and the scene is now set.
Now, the man to watch in a way is going to be Charles Leung, because he's the driver that's really got to deliver here after his off in qualifying. It's put him slightly on the back foot, so let's see what he can do to try to rebuild his weekend. You can't necessarily win the Grand Prix here, but you can lose it if you have a bad qualifying result, and certainly he needs to get himself further forward, readiness for the main race tomorrow.
Did we identify where that gap was?
We did, yes, it was 32.
Yeah.
There. So the car is now released onto this formation lap. Try and get the warmth into the Kumho tyres. And so Andy Chang, who has been runner-up to Charles Leung these last couple of years, desperately keen to take a victory, but Gerard Shea is the dark horse. He has been an absolute revelation in the Formula 4 Chinese Championship this season, beaten only once. And in every qualifying session as well, he has taken the top time, other than this weekend. But second on the grid, not bad going at all. The only other driver that's had a win this year is Zhu Zhenghui, who's not actually in this entry. So the cars come down towards Lisboa, scene of all of the drama in the Win Macau gear race for touring cars. But let's hope these drivers can get through without too much drama in their race.
Remember last year when Andy Chang in second place was pursuing Charles Leung and was driving with a huge amount of urgency to take the top step of the podium for the Macau Grand Prix win. Well, if he was urgent last year in the race, the urgency has been stepped up to another level this weekend. Pole position and a very determined drive. We sort of knew that the chances were at the start of this weekend Andy Chang, Gerard Shee and Charles Leung would be three that would be contesting at the front of the field, and that has played out thus far absolutely according to prediction.
Has indeed, and Gerard Shee, despite the lack of circuit experience, being able to adapt very, very quickly to one of the most challenging circuits around. Second fastest is, and Charles Leung then put himself on the back foot, disrupted the process for the weekend by an off at the Macau hairpin, which again is a slightly strange place to go on.
It is.
Such a slow corner anyway, you know you can't overtake. So he wasn't, in fairness to him, trying to get through traffic, but he just missed his braking point and skated up towards the outside of the corner and damaged the suspension and was out of the session in question, and that derailed the weekend a little bit.
I think we can be fairly sure that mistake will be made only once over the course of the weekend for the two-time Macau Grand Prix winner. Certainly the opportunity to write himself very much into the history books of a back-to-back hat-trick of wins for the Macau Grand Prix is certainly not an awful long way from his mind. Car number 11, Charles Leung, inside of row 2.
And there, heading to the grid, is Royce Yu, former karter, who's come into single-seater racing this season and has adapted pretty swiftly. He is 5th on the grid, so pretty much all those ahead of him more experienced, with the exception of Gerard Shee as well, who is into single-seaters this year. Not only is he leading the Formula 4 Chinese Championship, but he's also leading the Formula Renault Super Challenge as well. So he's had a very, very good season in local single-seaters.
I think I just let out a little wow, because Andy Chang, he had a look in the mirror to see how much time he had, how I were, realised I've still got a moment to do some weaving, and it really was vicious weaving. He's left rubber down on the circuit, so absolutely determined to get as much heat into the tyres as possible before potentially it could be sat for a little while at the front of the grid.
So the last few cars then trickle their way out of our bend. Number 14 in the background there is Brian Lee, the GT4 champion in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia this season, but he's been a road sports racer, Carrera Cup Japan, Blancpain Asia racer as well, so more of a GT specialist than a single-seater racer. But again, this very localised entry for the Formula 4 Grand Prix allows drivers that don't normally race single-seaters into the Grand Prix. There's another gap, in fact, where Patrick Sang is missing, and he was another man that crashed in qualifying yesterday. So, green flag shown at the back of the grid. We are good to go. 5 red lights will go on. When the lights go out, the qualifying race for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix gets underway with a good start made by Gerard Shee on the inside there. Good start by Charles Leung as well. Not a great start by Andy Chang, but Chang will lead down towards Reservoir for the first time. Side by side for the race lead. Gerard Shee on the inside then. Now tries to level with Chang. He's going to be on the outside line down towards Mandarin. To the inside of both of them dives Charles Leung then. Gets a tow from Chang, lines up to make the move on the inside. He's gone second, he's got into the lead. Great start. So Charles Leung leads the way. Chang is about to drop down to 3rd place because Gerard Shee is up on the inside line and he goes through as well. So Chang's pole position comes to nothing. He's down to 3rd, fights back on the outside line, breaks late, gets himself in a bit of strife, and there's contact, and up the escape road he goes.
Wow, that could not have gone more wrong for the pole position sitter. And you can see very clearly after he got off the line, he was very busy looking in his mirrors. He knew he didn't get the best of starts. He was concerned about where Charles Leung is. He doesn't need to be concerned anymore because he is back where he was 1 year ago, back at the lead of the race. Gerard Shee in 2nd place, and poor old Andy Chang recovering from the escape road at Lisboa.
So Andy Chang desperate to get on and gain places because, of course, the order at the end of this race is the grid for tomorrow. And right now, he's going to be at the back of it. Charles Leung then absolutely storming away. Brilliant first couple of corners. And look at the advantage that it has gained him now over Gerard Shea in second place.
It was a brilliant start as well, wasn't it? He had great momentum off the line, and I think even if it was peripheral vision that told Andy Chang that Charles Leung behind had a very, very good start. He was ducking from side to side, looking in the mirrors, seeing where he was, and it was almost a textbook manoeuvre for Charles Leung, wasn't it?
Absolutely right. So there in second place is Gerard Shea. Now the race isn't over, of course. Gerard Shea, as he gets the tyres up to temperature, may well be able to go after Charles Leung, and if he can apply a bit of pressure. In third place then, as they come down now to Macau hairpin, it is Li Cheng, and we need to see at the end of the lap exactly how bad a first lap it was for Andy Chang, who is going to be as red-faced as the colour of the car, I would have thought, because it was a self-induced error, that, going into Lisboa. And again, he's not an inexperienced driver either. He has done a lot of miles in single-seaters, going back to a season in Europe in Formula 3, what, 7, 8 years ago now. Is down towards the R-bend, flicks the car of Charles Leung, corrects the slide, but you can see how committed he is here.
He really is, yeah. This is a bit more like we saw last year in the Grand Prix.
Oh.
That is a big impact, and unfortunately, the rear of the car facing the wrong way. The good news is that the driver is climbing out of the car, and we've got a stricken car and a fair bit of debris to deal with.
Yeah, I think that is going to take a bit of clearing, and the car's then making the run up towards the end of the lap, and it was all self-induced as around and hard into the barrier went Ken Wong, number 77, and that's a very broken car. So, yellow flags are out at Fisherman's. The leaders go through. The gap at the end of the first lap was 1.2 seconds, but Gerard Shea then, with the tyres getting hotter, giving him more grip, giving him more confidence. For my money, he's closing that gap ever so slightly now.
I think he might be. Yeah, they're in the technical part of the circuit that these Formula 4 cars look very nimble around this part of the track, don't they, as they head up towards the final sector after they've gone round the Macau hairpin. Safety car is going to be deployed in order to recover that stricken car, sweep up a little bit. There wasn't too much debris down there, was there? So potentially this could be a fairly short safety car intervention. It's an 8-lap race. They're on lap 2. Charles Leung gets the message, tries to keep as much heat in the tyres as he possibly can.
Now, the good news for Andy Chang is that this, of course, means that he will catch the crocodile of cars ahead. The other bit of good news for Andy Chang is that he's not last. He's last but one, so he's still got a lot of work to do, but now at least the gaps will be reduced, and there you can see the car of Ken Wong, or what's left of it, about to be hoiked out of the way.
It will, and that heavy lifting equipment at strategic places around the circuit, it can be a relatively quick operation to get those cars lifted out of the way. And if you compare it to a GT car, it's a much easier operation with a Formula 4 car. Towards the Macau hairpin, Charles Leung. It's like deja vu, isn't it, seeing Charles Leung at the front of one of these single-seater races here at Macau. Got rather used to that in the last couple of years.
Well, again, we've had quite a number of dramas this weekend that have underlined the strength of a Magal single-seater chassis, and there is another one. So the car does its job, keeps the driver safe, protected. The field goes through the incident zone. In third place, Li Cheng trying to weave around and get some warmth into the tyres, but the safety car will scoop them up this time. And so Gerard Shea has got to be on his toes on the restart. We're not there yet, of course, but that's going to be an opportunity for him to perhaps have a go back at Charles Leung for the race lead.
They do great work, the marshals here at Macau. It's brave work as well. That marshal that's trying to recover the stricken Formula 4 car, the field come round. That can't be a nice feeling when you see the field coming down towards an incident. They're under the control of the safety car, and these are drivers that know what they're doing, and they slow right the way down as they close up on the back of the safety car now. But still, it's not an enviable thing to be doing, is it, to be out on a live circuit and effecting a recovery. They do a super job, brave work.
So all the Kumho tyres being kept up to temperature, Andy Chang had gained another place, in fact, on that lap just before the safety car came out. So he's into the top 10, and the car undamaged in that drama down at Lisboa. So he was trying to get himself back up into second place at the expense of Gerard Shea, completely missed his braking point, and the red mist rather descended, didn't it? It was never a move that was on,
no. But
he still tried it. And that is another look at Ken Wong getting it wrong. Big, big hit into the barriers. I think I'd be surprised if that car were out tomorrow, because it's done so much damage to the rear.
Yeah.
It's moved everything to an angle, but I think that's probably beyond repair, but we shall see.
And that barrier needs to be looked at as well. It split the seam, didn't it? And
yeah, that's why we had the Mike Volkswagen off yesterday in the gear race qualifying, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes it was.
We've delayed things quite a bit.
So we are under control of the safety car. We have completed 2 laps. They're dealing with a little bit of fluid down there, and they're pretty quick at doing this sort of thing.
Yeah, well versed, aren't they?
They are, yeah, extremely adept at dealing with whatever is thrown at them on the gear circuit here at Macau. We can see all that of the barrier as well, can't we, down there, which will be swept away.
But of course, with it being a long lap and it being done at a slow pace, then it does give them lots of time to work. So although we will have the clear-up operation taking minutes, it's not going to be that many laps in real terms. So there is the safety car, the Lamborghini Urus. Once its lights are out, that's the indication that we'll be back racing at the end of the lap. So it is Charles Leung leading the way from Gerard Shi, and then Li Cheng in 3rd place. Royce Yu is 4th, Jin Shi Feng 5th, and Liu Jingji in 6th spot. So the lights flash to remind the drivers they're behind the safety car. And wait to see, coming into view number 8, where it goes through the shots of Andy Chang back into contention on the restart. He should be able to gain some places back. So the track is being swept. Cars up at Donna Maria. So I don't think the safety car is going to be in this time.
No, and although they're sweeping up the contents of that barrier, I don't know exactly what they have to do with the barrier. If it's been too badly damaged, it would need to be slotted out and a new one slotted in, wouldn't it? So we shall wait and see. They know best, and they'll know if it's just a little bit of superficial damage to the barrier.
Well, the lights are still on, so it'll be one more lap. Yeah,
it's an extreme safety car, that, isn't it? The Lamborghini Urus.
But you can see the witness marks where the car went in, but looks like marshals now are largely either getting out of the way for that one lap or feel the work is done, but I think they might be going back to the tyres.
3 laps are complete at the end of this lap as the field comes through. The Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix, the 8-lap race on Saturday, and the 12-lap Grand Prix to look forward to tomorrow, with all of the usual build-up that we will have for the huge crowd that we will enjoy here at Macau tomorrow.
And their eyes will be on for the main race, the Grand Prix, Charles Leung, to see whether he can put himself in the history books for 3 in a row. The first driver to do it, first driver to do 3, and he leads the way. Of course, that's not to say that other drivers haven't had the ability to do it, but largely you want to be moving through Formula 3 and up, don't you?
Yeah.
We talked on Thursday about 1 or 2 drivers that, thanks to the pull of Macau, have come back and gone well and won again, but largely people go through the ranks and then move onwards and upwards.
I think the determination to come back and succeed. I think they always think that well, I've got this now. I can win this race. Alexander Sims was a great example. He came over here. I think it was probably the last time he came over here, and it was the weekend that his wife was expecting to add to the Sims family, and it was. I never really asked about the conversation that took place. Please, could I be in Macau this weekend? Yeah, he gave us the information that she had added very successfully and healthily to the Sims family, and Alexander, I think think had a successful weekend, finished up on the podium, I think, that weekend.
Good job, really. So there is the speedy dry being put onto the liquid spilt from Ken Wong's car. But might be another lap, you know, yet.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And that's going to take us up to half distance completed for the Formula 4 cars. Under the control at the moment of the safety car, the Lamborghini safety car. It is Charles Leung, double winner of the Macau Grand Prix, that leads the field. This is a good opportunity for Gerard Shee, isn't it, at the restart of this race. And Andy Chang, the recovery drive, has so far yielded a purple. The safety car is in at the end of this lap.
Gerard Shee, if he's being clever about it, could just sit there because he's going to be on the front row of the grid.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's is the one to really win. This is the one that, as Andy Chang has proved, you can lose. So he has thrown away all the good work in qualifying, but if Gerard Shee just sits there in second place, he'll be on the front row of the grid. He'll be a length back, but on the inside line for tomorrow's race. Might not be a bad move, that, but let's see what he looks to do. Safety car will be in this time. This will be the end of lap 4 of the 8. We'll go racing again this time, and the other story is going to be the recovery of Andy Chang in the red car coming now into the Melco hairpin. He's got work to do, but quickest in qualifying yesterday, he ought to be able to make progress before the very end.
So that's a final moment to get heat back into the tyres to get them the best possible start on the restart when the safety car pulls off into pit lane. Great sight, that.
Weaving around, Charles Leung. You can see how vigorous that weaving is, lock to lock, to force the temperature into the tyres. He's got Gerard Shee behind him as they come out of Fisherman's Bend.
Why is his hand up? Just took his hand, he's got his hand up. In the cockpit, I thought Charles Leung put his hand up coming out of that last turn.
It wasn't just the lock brought his hand to the top.
It might have been,
yeah,
it might have been. It's a brief moment of panic in the commentary box, but certainly not in the car, because the car is weaving very effectively now, isn't it?
Yeah, he's ready for the restart. He's gone already. Accelerates clear then, coming down towards our bend. So Charles Leung controls the restart, tries to pull another length over Gerard Shee, with Lee Cheng in third place as they come up over the timing line. We're back racing again then. That now starts lap 5. Through they go, and the margin betwixt the top two, half a second, as now Gerard Shee tries to get himself close enough to have a go. Leung goes one side, goes the other, trying to break the toe, but Gerard Shee is not only staying with him, he's closing, he's getting the toe.
He got a great restart, a really good restart.
So now, look, he's in the draft as they come down towards Lisboa. Again, race leader goes to the inside line to defend. Gerard Shee comes up on the outside line. He's tempting fate a little bit, but he's got the drive on the outside line. He's not going to get the lead. He breaks. He needs to get the switchback coming out of the corner. Can he tighten the line? The answer is no. So Charles Leung stays ahead, but Gerard Shee has served intent.
And it is exactly that. He got a really good start. Now, let's see what Charles Leung can do to shake him off on the technical, the sweeps, the left and right, and the wall on the left and the barrier on the right of the technical part of the circuit, as opposed to the super quick wide part of the circuit that forms the end of one lap and the start of the other. But certainly Gerard is showing intent on Charles Leung.
Although that said, Leung has just been able to gap by another length, hasn't he, now, as the cars sprint their way through the S's, the Solitude S's. And in third place, Lee Cheng dropping back a little bit ahead of Royce Liu in fourth place. So the top two come back towards us, drop down towards Police, and then up Moorish Hill. Late on the brakes, Gerard Shee, but he can't afford to be too late because he might drift out wide.
Yeah, and that's easy done at that corner. How many times over the years do we see cars finishing up next to that red and white barrier on the exit of either Police or Moorish Hill? Then into Donna Maria they go, down towards the Melco hairpin. And Charles Leung had to have strong nerves on that restart down towards Lisboa, because Gerard Shee was really putting a nose alongside, certainly showing what potentially could be his plan for the remainder on lap 5 out of 8. And we are about to get a more meaningful set of lap times now.
It was half a second between them at the start of the lap. And again, look, you can see Gerard Shee trying to get into the toe and then let the aero of the car ahead do some of that work, drag him along. Charles Leung comes out of Fisherman's Bend and the R bend here, which is the part of the circuit that he had a big slide at earlier. He goes across the stripe, still being chased by Gerard Shee. The gap is still half a second. Although Charles Leung does the fastest lap of the race, the gap has only gone up really by 400ths. And now, fifth is Andy Chang in the background. Look, and he's just done the fastest lap as once again into the toe slots. Gerard Shee getting closer, getting closer, getting closer all the way through Mandarin. Speed building, and once more he thinks about where to make a move. Charles Leung covers off the inside line. To the outside line goes Gerard Shee. Gets his nose in front, gets the race lead. Fantastic. Charles Leung tries to fight back. No way through on the inside line. Gerard Shee's going to slow the car down, and he just does it in time for Lisboa. Good move.
We have a new race leader. Up San Francisco Hill they go. Not often we've seen this, is it? Charles Leung attacking for the lead of the race. Gerard Shee up into the tighter section of the circuit with Charles Leung all over the back of him.
Nose to tail they run, and there Andy Chang makes a move on the inside of Royce Yu. Did he get through? Tied together, thankfully there was no contact, but Charles Leung all of a sudden is having to really race hard this weekend. He got mugged for pole position for this race, and he's now been mugged for the race lead as well.
Andy Chang up into 5th position with the fastest lap of the race at 2:35, 2:30.5 for Andy Chang.
But the question is, has he been able to get 4th? Because he was almost level with Royce Yu, wasn't he, when we just saw the cars last almost side by side. But we'll double check at the next sector point as the leaders now drop down towards police. In 3rd place, Li Cheng, teammate to Charles Leung, who is there in 2nd, and Gerard Shee now trying to build that lead.
And is he going to be able to? I mean, he excels on the run down through Lisboa up towards through Mandarin up towards Lisboa. Absolutely superb. And twice he's been able to do that to Charles Leung. That was the time the manoeuvre worked. No overtaking there. So it was almost an unexpected overtaking manoeuvre into the Macau hairpin.
It was, but it's significant. It was a mistake made by Gerard Shee. Just outbraked himself, ran a little bit deep, and actually gave an opportunity to Charles Leung. Now, you're right, Gerard Shee has been very good down towards Lisboa, but part of that is the toe afforded by Charles Leung. It might now go the other way. Gerard Shee has not been able to get away. It's almost like DRS in Formula 1 in a way, this now, because so Charles Leung is the one in the draft as there. Andy Chang goes 4th then, through on the inside, another place gained. So after his dramas on the opening lap of the race, he's back in contention, comes up towards the line. The leaders go through. That now gives us 2 laps to go, the margin 3/10 between Gerard Shee and in 2nd place Charles Leung. This is where you try to break the toe, go left, go right. Charles Leung sits in the draft then, and that will just drag him along, getting nearer and nearer. Andy Chang doing the same against Li Cheng, getting closer and closer. Gerard Shee covers off the inside line. Charles Leung sits in the wheel tracks, goes to the outside line now, and let's see whether or not he's going to be able to go right round the outside. He's going to try it, he thinks about it, but he's going to run out of road.
Yeah, and you knew that Gerard was looking in the mirrors probably more than he was looking at the front of the car as they ran down towards Lisboa. So defended once for Gerard Shee and failed once for Charles Leung in 2nd place. Boy, this would be brave, wouldn't it? But look at Charles Leung right on the tail of the race leader.
It goes to show just what good racer's instinct both have got. They could both sit there and be on the front row for tomorrow. The way they're going, it could be that they're both at the back because they've tangled and don't finish, but they are prepared to put everything on the line to win this qualifying race, the 8-lap, the sprint race for the Sands Macau Formula 4 Grand Prix.
Super racing, absolutely tied together they are as they head around the twist. The Solitude S's on towards police, the right-hander, Donna Maria, the left-hander, so into police. Maurice Hill is next, and Charles Leung absolutely mirroring the race leader. Just hoping for the tiniest of errors, which happened the previous lap up at the Macau hairpin. Will it happen again? Little puff of smoke, a little locked tyre for the race leader. Around Donna Maria up towards the hairpin. Neat through there for both of them on the exit. Then the circuit opens up.
So Gerard Shee, who's not raced here before, is belying his lack of experience, keeping a real master, a double winner at bay. And once again, you get back towards the toe situation for third place. Andy Chang makes his move against Li Sul Chang on the outside line. This is going to be brave. They're almost wheel to wheel. Andy Chang can't go through there. And nor can he make a dive up the inside, perhaps coming into our bend because he's just fractionally too far back. He now needs to plan the move and get the toe and think about the move at Lisboa, as also does Charles Leung. So they're about to start the last lap. There's the board. The gap between the top two as they come over the line is 4/10 of a second. Third is about to change, isn't it? Because Andy Chang is right on the back of Li Sul Chang. And once again, you know what's going to happen here. They're going to go left, they're going to go right, they're going to try and break the toe. For third place, Andy Chang not quite able to get past Li Sul Chang coming out of Reservoir. Goes to the outside, down towards Mandarin. Brave effort, and it doesn't pay out for him there. Couldn't go around the outside. And again, Charles Leung is in the wheel tracks, but actually not close enough to make a move down towards Lisboa. He does think about it. He does go to the outside. He brakes late, but he runs out of road.
Wow. Where do we look? The battle for the lead or the battle for third place? Is it going to be the red car in front in third place? It is, as they head up towards San Francisco Hill. So we didn't quite see that manoeuvre, but certainly we saw the result of it. Andy Chang, the recovery drive, back up into a podium position. And now look at Charles Leung. Look at the urgency. You'd think this was the Grand Prix. They're on the very, very tight section of the circuit now. And Charles Leung all over the back of Gerard Shi, who leads the race. Final lap.
So together, nose to tail, they make the run now through the last part of the 6 kilometre long circuit. Gerard Shi it is who leads. They now make that run once again through the Solitude S's. They're about to drop down through Teddy Yip, then to Police and up Moorish Hill. Andy Chang in fourth place, then up to third with the fastest lap in his back pocket as well. Down to Police goes Gerard Shi. And on this last lap, I would offer you that now Charles Leung realises he's got to settle for second because the gap between them is growing.
Yeah, it really has. This is great news on the final lap for the race leader, because he is not under the pressure that he has been for the last 3 laps as he heads around the tight Melco hairpin. No overtaking here. Scene of one mistake for Gerard Shi during this race. Look at Andy Chang as well, thinking about closing up on the back of Charles Leung in second place on this final lap. The last few elements, the very quick final few elements for Gerard Shi, who leads the race. Car number 3, and this is going to be a very, very happy moment in the history of Macau.
But look at the way that Andy Chang is catching Charles Leung for second place. Leung may well have settled. He may even have a problem. It is going to be a win for Gerard Shi. Up towards the checkered flag. Great drive, delighted winner. Gerard Shi wins the qualification race. Second, Charles Leung, and third, Andy Chang. Great recovery by Chang. It was his mistake, admittedly, at the start, but he's recovered well up into third place then, ahead of Li Sul Chang. Roy Siu drops to fifth, and Jin Feng in sixth. And it's a very happy team that celebrates a victory. So the Z-Speed squad for Gerard Shi takes the race win in what turned out to be a very dramatic F4 race, and that's partly because of the relatively small nature of the cars. They're narrow enough to be able to overtake around here.
Yeah, and they've got a wide bit of circuit to try and break the toe, but what you end up with is a mirror effect, and the advantage taken at the second time of asking for Gerard Shi, and superbly held as well. I wonder if there was a problem for Charles Leung come the end of the race, because the car did drop back on that final lap, didn't it?
Yeah, it might have been him just settling, but it was a slow-ish lap, 2:31, and Andy Chang did another best lap on the last lap of the race, 2:28.3, so he was demonstrably quicker than the other two.
Yeah, and he'll be thinking, you know it, on this slowdown lap, of the might-have-beens if that opening lap at the start of the race had just been a little bit more the cards falling his way and not doing a recovery drive, because that was a superb recovery.
So you take the top 3 and shuffle the order for the grid. So Gerard Shi started second, finishes first. Charles Leung started third and finishes second. Andy Chang started first, finishes third. And a great, great drive by Gerard Shi, as we've been saying all weekend. In X terms, but rising to the occasion. And you can see why he's made such an impact in the Formula 4 China Championship, and indeed within the Formula Renault Super Challenge in Asia as well this season.
And good that we had a good few laps of racing after the safety car at the start of the race. We were able to thoroughly enjoy that for a moment. Didn't know where to look, the battle for the lead or the battle for the final place on the podium. Superb stuff.
So a great drive by Gerard Shi to win the qualifying race by 2 seconds, in fact, from Charles Leung backing off towards the end. Andy Chang third with the fastest lap, ahead of Liu Cheng and Royce Yu fifth. Sixth, Jing Feng ahead of Liu Jingji, then Lin Li Feng in 8th place, Li Ching Sin in 9th, and Wei Chao Yin to round out the top 10. I'll go to the podium very shortly, but plenty of drama, plenty of action, and plenty of excitement too in the first instalment for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. That qualifying race won by Gerard Shi, 2.024 seconds being the margin. And it could have been a very different story, as Alan was saying, had this man not made his mistake on the opening lap of the race down at Lisboa. As it turns out, Andy Chang gets away with it in 3rd place, but the drivers now making their way into Parc Fermé, and no doubt it'll be a very happy Gerard Shi and a very relieved Andy Chang.
Yeah, and he's giving himself a real fighting chance for tomorrow, albeit not starting. That didn't particularly work out that well today, did it? So maybe starting where he will be as a result of having a brilliant race today. Maybe the start will go a little bit better tomorrow for Andy Chang. Brings the number 8 car to a stop down in Parc Fermé, and it will be mixed emotions when he gets out of the car, starting from pole position, then having to come from penultimate place in the field to finish up on the podium. He'll be pretty elated with that, and also pretty annoyed about the start.
And Charles Leung will be a bit disappointed, I would have thought, because he comes here as the man to beat. He's just been beaten, so the reputation he's being given a dent or two, isn't it, this weekend?
Well, the pressure is on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
This weekend for Charles Leung. So much at stake to stand on the top step of the podium at Macau once, let alone twice, let alone potentially 3 times. That's the target for Charles Leung out of the car.
No jubilation, though, is there? There's no leaping or
he just briefly
happiness.
waved to the camera. Yeah, just a little wave. He knows that tomorrow is going to be a very, very important day. Shaking his head, about to be weighed, and not yet. We need to reset the system. A couple of words with the scrutineers.
Other drivers making their way across, and Andy Chang, another of the notable drives of that race. I know he made that mistake early on, but even so, it was a very, very good recovery, and it could have been a whole lot worse, couldn't it?
It most certainly could, and yeah, well, it was Lisboa. He ended up going down the escape road and having to turn the car around to get back. It could have been a little nudge into the barrier on the outside of Lisboa, which we've seen a few times today, and that would have been a lot more costly for the weekend. Great salvage drive for the pole position man, and now we can see what can be done tomorrow. Podium is going to a couple of moments. We'll see the celebrations on the podium for our first race of the weekend for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. But that was an opening race that had plenty of action here at Macau. There's always plenty of action around the gear circuit, over 6.2 kilometres, but there are plenty of stories to take away from the Saturday race for the Formula 4 cars. Podium will come up in just a couple of moments. We'll look back on the action, of which there was plenty after the safety car pulled in, and we finally got the race underway.
So the drivers now making their way to the podium in readiness for the ceremony for the top 3 drivers. One more race still to come for the cars, and then the delayed motorbike action. We are down to 1 race. The timetable doesn't allow for the first race to be delayed and run again, so it'll just be 1 8-lap race for the motorbike entry, which is a real shame, but at least that will be at the end of the day. So we've got GT cars to look forward to next, and then the motorbikes will be on circuit as the podium is made ready. So the Sands China Trophy girls make their way to the podium, and now the drivers are about to be brought forward at the end of race 1. And for third place, it is Chang Wing Chong, or Andy Chang, who took the fastest lap of the race, getting quicker and quicker and quicker lap after lap as the fuel load came down, and he takes third place. Andy Chang on the podium. Then for second place, it is Charles Leung, who of course has been on the top step here for the last 2 seasons in the Grand Prix itself. But after losing out today, it is the second step, but lessons learned to go into tomorrow's race. And then for the race win, it is Jiao Shi, who is on the top step of the podium any moment. He steps forward now, and a newcomer to Macau, but you wouldn't have thought it the way that he drove. Congratulations to the top 3 drivers. And so now for third place, Sean McCreary, the Senior Vice President of Resort Operations of Sands China, will make his way to the podium in order to present the trophy to the third place driver, to Andy Chang.
Third place driver, Chang Wing Chong.
There is Andy Chang. The trophy goes to him. Sean McCreary will conduct all of the presentations, which means he makes his way to the other end of the podium, where Charles Leung awaits, and he takes now the second place trophy. But in the middle is the man of the moment, a great debut on track at Macau, to Gerard Shi, who wins the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix Race 1. It's a very, very happy team as well down in the pit lane, busy congratulating one another, and as everybody poses in front of the backdrop for the photographs with Sean McCreary, Senior VP of Resort Operations of Sands China, at the front. The top 3 drivers, Andy Chang for third, Charles Leung for second place, and for Gerard Shi as the race winner.
Thank you.
So well done to the winning drivers. Everybody makes their way from the
Congratulations to
foot
our
of the podium
again.
And so now the drivers, once the last photographs can be taken, can head back to their teams, reflect on how that race went, what they need to do tomorrow to be better, what they need to do to the setup, if anything. And Andy Chang, Charles Leung join the race winner Gerard Shi on the top step of the podium, and will then make their way
Job well done
from the podium to the team. Congratulations to the top 3 drivers. For third place, Andy Chang. For second, Charles Leung. And the race winner, Gerard Shi.
Podium for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix Race 1.
So one